This is the FiCord 300 or 303A. I have a model 300, so this is either a 300A or a 303A, and there are a couple of differences. The 300 doesn't have a mic sensitivity control like this one does, so it changes the sensitivity of the microphone. And the 303 or 300A or 303A has a built-in lamp here to indicate the battery condition. So you can see it strobing there. When it strobes, it tells you that your battery is good. And I believe that tone is a end of tape tone, so something is stuck or something. So we're going to tear into it and see. Somebody had included some instructions here on how to operate the unit, and but this one comes complete with all of the stickers. These are the external amplifier, which I showed on a previous video with my other FiCord unit. So it's a great little handheld Switzerland-made reel-to-reel, and it comes with the manual, which is great to have, and it shows some of the accessories that you can get. And I'm fortunate to have the carrying case that came with this, and it has additional slots for additional tapes. And this one came with 2 extra tapes, which is again a real bonus. So I don't have extra tapes for the FiCord because they use a special reel made specifically for the FiCord. So I'm thankful to have the extra reels and the leather case. This will clean up very well. It's in excellent condition other than some scuffs. And those scuffs will clean up with some shoe polish or some leather cleaner. And it has the leather strap, shoulder strap attached. So let's get into it here and find out what's going on with the transport and why it's not running. I wanted to show you the model that I did have working. Took a while to get it going, and I created a little external amplifier attachment here. It does have a little speaker, but this one plays nicely now after a little bit of work. Let's see if we can get it to play now.
No telling how long this recording will last. When I got this tape recorder, I needed to do some repairs, clean up, put a cap across the motor drive, and created a connector for an external microphone. So I think
yeah, that's right. I figured out a way to pin this out and plug in a external mic, and then this is the external amplifier, plugs into my little plastic amplifier. So this is a 300, I believe, because it does not have the sensitivity switch, nor does it have a light. As you'll notice, there was no light popping there, strobing. But the transport is working beautifully on this model, and it cleaned up very well. So I'm really proud of the way this one turned out. But let's see if we can get this other model working. And incidentally, I think you can see, let's pull these up, the serial numbers 305-159 and 371794. So this is an earlier model if you can go by the serial numbers, and but it was the earlier model, the 300, and this is the 303A. So that has the sensitivity switch on. So that's one major difference, is the sensitivity switch and the external, the battery light. So let's get into it and see if we can figure out what's wrong here. Hopefully it's something simple. This control panel, this cover pops off. There's two posts in here that are just snapped in place. Oh, and it also came with a packet of index cards. And if you remember from the previous video, those of you that were able to see that one, this FiCord index card slips right up underneath this little tab right here. And you can mark the counter on here for the person that's going to be transcribing the tape. They can use this piece of paper to know where they're at in the record. All right. I know the camera is facing the other direction, so it might look a little peculiar as I work from this side of the tape. I've got everything upside down, but I wanted the camera to be out of the way and have a little better. Okay, so there's the little indicator lamp that strobes to tell you, when it strobes, it tells you your battery is good. And you remember this button right here catches this and holds the pinch roller back away from the capstan, and it is a capstan drive. So let's pull the tapes off, get those out of the way. There we go. Set those aside. And I feel pretty sure there are a couple of screws underneath this label, the accessory label. Let's, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know there's one right there underneath this label, sadly. And I just don't remember if there were screws underneath this accessory, underneath this label. I feel certain that there are. But we'll have to peel this one off. And I don't want to destroy it, but I might be able to CNC another one of these. This is a flat label, just a sticker. But I should be able to CNC a label to glue on this so it'll look nice and pretty. So let's try this. Let me try heating this with the heat gun over at the bench. And let's see if we can get this label peeled off without destroying it. The same goes for this one right here. I've got a feeling this one's going to be all torn up. But let's do a little bit of heat on it and see if we can get it loose. Well, got those off without too much drama. I used the heat gun, which you can hear in the background there, cooling down, but we got these peeled off. A little bit of damage initially on these. They're foil material, so they bend, but we should be able to get that glued back in place. This one uses a special security screw. This is just a standard slot. Let me get the security screw. Someone had asked what kind of tools I sometimes use. This is a great kit. Comes in a vinyl pouch. It's designed for cell phone and electronics repair. It's got an anti-static wrist matcher. It's got tweezers and magnetic base here. And the drivers, I'd say precision. And let's see, do we have a split blade here? Yeah, there's a split blade. That might work. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay. Now, we'll see. We pull the battery out, battery pack. And I showed you that battery pack in that other video, but it holds 3 AA's in the tube here. And so let's see if this opens. The base pops off here. There we go. And you know, I just don't remember if this was a belt-driven unit or what it was. I think it's belt-driven. I can see the motor here. And I don't see any, I might see some fragments of a belt in there. Pull the wire out of the way. Yeah, there's no belt on the motor. There it is. There's some fragments of the belt. So we'll have to find another flat belt for it. Oh, I see. It's all falling out here. I didn't see that when I opened it up, but there's little fragments of it here. Let's see if that's just squalling because it's at the end of the, thinks it's at the end of the tape. No, the motor is squealing, but the motor is turning. I don't know if you can see it in there. I've got plenty of light, but let's see if you can see it. But anyway, we got to pull this board up to get to the belts. There's a screw here. I've had this board off on this other tape recorder over here because I had to recap it to get audio. So let's, before we burn something up, let's take the batteries out. There we go. Get some, there's a little belt that drives the odometer. You can see that little white belt there. Down in there, see it? That little belt drives the odometer. And let's see if we can get this board up without too much abuse. Okay, so that's got to come up. Let's get rid of these labels before we tear something up there. It's a shoulder nut, bolt nut. Right now. We may pop some stuff loose here, so that's why I'm trying to be careful. Springs or switches. Ground wire. We may have to disconnect the ground wire. But I think if I disconnect the ground wire, I can fold this out. It looks like I can do that anyway. Yeah. So let me desolder that. I'll be right back. Okay, got the ground wire pulled loose. Let's see if we can get this to flip backwards. Not too much drama. And pull it forward. All right, there we go. Let's get a pair of tweezers. Super flat belt. Rides on that drum and then rides all the way around the capstan. So we're going to have to pull this loose. Let's see, there we go, there we go. Now that ought to fold out of the way. There we go. So there's the capstan. You see all this spring, yeah, it's a spring. See, there's some belt material on the capstan drum. Piece of belt right there. And here's the thing, I have no way of knowing how long of a belt we need to print or find. It's a belt, a flat belt, so that's going to be very challenging because I have lots of square belts, but nothing that flat. So this is going to have to come off. This entire lid right here is going to come off so we can get the belt back on there and wrap around the drum and then around the motor. There we go. There's two of them. Oh, brother. Wow. Two of those little snap rings. There we go. Okay. Got a metal block on the back of this thing. I guess that's to help with vibration. Huh. And there's a tensioner there. You can adjust the balance of the motor so that the belt rides in the center of that pulley right there. So let's pull this up. I don't know. March 82, I think is what it says. And we'll find a belt. Okay, I'm going to save you the trouble of watching all of this, and I'll end up replacing the belt and reassembling the unit. We have the FiCord 303A put back together, cleaned up. All the stickers are back in place, and we had replaced the belt and cleaned the contacts on the external connector here for the microphone and speaker. And I've installed my external speaker connection here that connects to those two contacts on the outside of the FiCord. So there's the end. There's three terminals. I don't remember what this terminal is, but these two terminals are the audio out. And there's a screw there. So what I did was I 3D printed a little frame and put two little screws there that come in contact with the audio out. And then just put the retainer screw in there. Just used a little screw to hold that together, and that pulls, makes contact with the audio out, and then we run that to an external amplifier. So we've got a playback going into the wow and flutter meter here, and input, and we have microphone plugged in here, and we're going to get a 3000 hertz tone out of the wow and flutter meter. So we'll turn that on, and it's generating 3000 hertz tone. Let me illustrate that on the scope. So to find the frequency on the scope, this doesn't have a frequency readout. We take 1 divided by the number of divisions times 20 microseconds. So we've got 16.5 divisions times 0.00002, and we do the inverse of that, and we get around 3000 hertz. This is not precise. Obviously, we can't get an exact reading here, but we're right at 3000 hertz, which is what this is supposed to put out. 3000 hertz right there. And so we're going to put a 3000 hertz tone into the recording, and then we'll play that recording back on the wow and flutter meter. So the wow and flutter meter is producing a 3000 hertz tone out of the back of the unit for a test signal, and then we play it back into the input of the leader, and we'll see if we've got a variation of frequency, high or low. If the frequency is too high, it'll lean to the positive side, and if it's too low, it'll run to the negative side. And if the frequency is varying, you'll see the needle move back and forth a little bit. And then we'll do the different wow and flutter. There's a wow and flutter, a weighted single wow, and just flutter. So we've got wow and flutter, which is a sum of these two values. And so this is the value that we need, that they use in industry standard to determine the performance of the tape deck. So let's get a recording going here. Let me hook this back up and get the recording hooked up to the input of the 3000 hertz tone, and we'll record a few seconds of that, and then we'll play them back into the leader 39A. Okay, we're recording now. We reset the counter, and we're recording now to get the 3000 hertz tone onto the tape. And in a few seconds, we'll rewind this and play it back. Okay, I'm gonna push play, and once the 3000 hertz tone kicks in, we should get a green light here to indicate that we have a signal, and we do now. And we have some drift going on there, but nothing too serious, just a little slow. We got a wow and flutter of about a little over 1%, as you can see. I'm on the 3% scale, so this would be 3%, 2%, just a little over 1%. If we do a weighted reading, we should drop just slightly under 1%. And as things stabilize a little bit on the tape recorder, the signal will get even better. Okay, and let's rewind it. And normally you would record a couple of minutes of audio, and there we go. A couple of minutes of audio so that you don't have to keep rewinding and playing. But all right, so we'll check our wow now. And we're well under 1. We could go to 1% there. And now we're reading on the top scale top scale, full scale at 1%, so we're down to 0.4% on wow. But our flutter is probably a little higher. Let's see. No, not too bad. This standalone flutter is down under 1%. We'll get an average here. All right, we were at about 0.8, and which is not too shabby. Not too shabby. About 0.8 wow and flutter, 0.8%. I think usually these tape recorders claim under 2%, which is pretty rough. Anything over 2% is discernible by the human ear, and pretty poor wow and flutter. But this little tape recorder is doing pretty good. 0.8%, less than 1% wow and flutter. So even with the not the exact belt on the unit, it's doing pretty well. Let's listen to some final recordings here, and then we'll wrap this job up. Okay, we're recording now on the FiCord 303A, and we're using the internal microphone, and we'll probably have a little bit of buzz and a little bit of motor noise on this tape recorder, but generally speaking, we should have a fairly decent recording. So let's rewind and see what this sounds like using the internal microphone. Okay, we're recording now on the FiCord 303A, and we're using the internal microphone, and we'll probably have a little bit of buzz and a little bit of motor noise on this tape recorder, but generally speaking, we should have a fairly decent recording. So let's rewind and see what this sounds like using the internal microphone. All right, that wasn't too bad. Let's increase the sensitivity here, and let's try that again. All right, we're recording on the FiCord 303A, and we've increased the sensitivity of the recording to see if we're getting a little bit better recording on the unit and on the internal microphone. Internal microphone is not terribly sensitive. You need to be talking directly into it, and I'm a good foot or so away. If I move way up into it and talk real close, we can see a difference in the audio, but we'll try it with an external microphone in just a second. All right, let's rewind. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Okay. All right, we're recording on the FiCord 303A, and we've increased the sensitivity of the recording. It's a little better. To see if we're getting a little bit better recording on the unit and on the internal microphone. The internal microphone is not terribly sensitive. You need to be talking directly into it, and I'm a good foot or so away. If I move way up into it and talk real close, we can see a difference in the audio, but we'll try it with an external microphone in just a second. All right, let's do that. Okay, we're now recording with the Record Play external plug, and we're talking into the diamond-studded lapel microphone, and I think this microphone's a little hotter than the internal mic on the unit itself. So let's see how this recording sounds on the diamond-studded microphone plugging into the external record jack. And we're talking into the diamond-studded lapel microphone, and I think this microphone's a little hotter than the internal
mic on.
Definitely better.
So let's see how this recording sounds on the diamond-studded microphone plugging into the external record jack.
Okay, so that was good, but let's change the sensitivity. So we'll plug this back in and we'll increase the sensitivity, the little tiny micro switch, and we'll go to record. And now we're talking again into the diamond-studded microphone with the sensitivity increased to the tape recorder, setting it to the high sensitivity. And we'll see if we get what kind of recording we're getting now. Let's back this up. And we'll also turn on the external amplifier and hook it up to the external amplifier.
To the tape recorder, setting it to the high sensitivity. And we'll see if we get what kind of recording we're getting now. Let's back this up and wrap up this recording.
Well, that was a successful repair. I'm really proud of the FiCord. This is my second unit, and this actually runs a little better than the other unit that I had. Got a little motor noise in that 300 series. It's a different circuit board, different type of, a slightly different transport, but in any case, the interface cable that I created for the other unit works great on this. And to be able to get external microphone and speaker, all that does is just bypass this completely and brings it to the outside jack. And when you plug this in, it disconnects one side. If you'll look at my connector here, see if I can do this without, yeah, there we go. One side is conductive, you see that right there, and the other side has glue on it. I don't know if you can see that or not. This side has a little bit of glue on it to break the connection. And then this is the audio connector here, or ground, I don't know which, but one is ground and one is audio. And so you have to have a insulated pin with one side. It breaks the connectors and only allows you to record and play back from the external jack, and it disconnects this microphone / speaker. Show you a little 3D printed box for the extra reels. It's just a simple little box that stores the reels in. I've done that for a couple of the tape recorders, and this one is just made to go with these FiCords.